Hey friends, I want to invite you to an upcoming program here at the church that we are ever so creatively calling the Justice Sessions. We have partnered up with World Renew to have 4 evening conversations all about exploring what justice and our faith have to do with each other. Each week we're going to look at what the Bible says about justice, what Jesus says about justice, and how we as people of faith are supposed to view things like patriarchy or racism or sexism or discrimination, tribalism, all these evil and toxic things that exist in our world, and most importantly, ask how we can make a difference. We've got slots for 10 people, so we want you to sign up if you are interested in learning how you can make a difference in this world. All the information is in the description below, so sign up and we'll see you there.
Hey everyone, Mandy here. I don't know about you, but I am sure missing Kids Zone. For any of you who are missing Kids Zone, Sunday school, or whatever we used to do traditionally, or you do traditionally as a family, make sure you check out Family Friday. It's posted every single Friday on our website and on social media, and it's fun for all ages. Yes, that includes the adults too. I have to admit, I like doing the colorings and the crafts. So check it out, do it as a family, give it to your kiddos to enjoy while you're attending Sunday service, or do it throughout the week. Whatever you choose to do, there is no right or wrong way to do Family Friday. Hope you enjoy, and bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Vi Short. I'm the Congregational Care Counselor for this congregation. I would like to share with you what congregational care teams and the hospitality teams have been doing during the pandemic. The hospitality teams have been cooking up a storm. They have been making 3-course meals every month and freezing them. And then we have been delivering them to your homes, door-to-door service, along with packages that include our church magazine and our other items that we will include for your enjoyment. It's our way of sharing with you that we miss you, we love you, and we want to connect with you. So if you would like to receive a care package or some food, please do not hesitate to let us know. And hopefully we'll be able to see each other sooner rather than later.
Hey friends, my name is Nick. I am the minister here at Red Dirt Lake United Church.
And I'm Vi, and I'm the Congregational Care Counselor for this church.
And we want to invite you to drive through communion. Yeah, drive through communion. It's exactly what it sounds like. You come into our amazing parking lot here at the church, you stay in the comfort and safety of your own car, and we get to have communion together. So all you have to do is get here, bring whatever you want to eat and drink. Some people bring coffee, tea, wine, homemade bread, cookies, pizza, it doesn't matter. But you get to have this communion, this meal that gives us so much life.
And we'd love to see you. Please join us. And just look underneath for the day and the time, and you'll get all the details.
We'll see you there. My friends, welcome back to a Sunday service. My name is Nick. I am the minister at a place called Red Deer Lake United Church, and we are an affirming church that gratefully gathers on Treaty 7 land. And what we are all about is finding in the way of Jesus a new way to be human and alive in this world. A way that's connected to God, each other, and ourselves. This way of life that is rooted in hope, joy, peace, love, wonder, truth, belonging, curiosity, all those beautiful, reverent, sacred things. This way of life that transforms us, so we can then go out and help transform the world, turning it into a world where everyone has enough and everyone has a place. Yeah, that is who we are. That is what we are all about. And this is our Sunday service. This is a thing that we do every single week where we take time to pull over, press pause, and do that thing that we need to do in order to enter into that life. Take some time to connect with God, that spirit of life, that ground of being, that mystery underneath it all, and find there life as it was meant to be. Not life free from pain and suffering, but a life that hums with reverence, a life that is deep and expansive, a life in diverse community, a life that leads us into that life and world that we're always looking for. And so I am so glad that you are here for this. May you know that whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever you're bringing in with you, whatever's going on around you, may you know that you're welcome here. May you know that there is room for you here. As we say in our community, you're welcome, you're wanted, and you're accepted here. And we are so glad that you've joined us on this journey. So let yourself be here. May you know that you are in the right place. And let's take some moments now to take some moments, because that's how people say that phrase. Let's take some time now. That's ridiculous. Let's take some time now to check in. One of the things about being in community is that we know we can be in community even when we're apart. And checking in with each other in the comments is a way that we can do that. So take some time now to say hi. Let us know who you are, how you're doing, where you're from, and keep that up throughout the whole service. One of the cool things about doing church online is we can kind of have a running commentary. We can have conversations going as the service unfolds. And it's a way for us to say, oh, that was really powerful. I like that. Or like, oh, I struggle with this. Or like, yes, amen. Or like, hey, this is my prayer. Whatever it is that you want to say, you can say it there. It's a way for us to engage and do the work of church together. I love that part of doing online church. It's a really beautiful thing that this tool and this thing that we're in really allows us to do. So find the comment box, go in there, say hi, let us know where you're coming from, because we are about to get into our service. It's gonna be a good one. I'm really happy with how, well, none of it's really recorded yet, so I'm really happy with how I hope it's gonna turn out. And I think you will be too. And our hope and our prayer, as always, as we said last week, you'll leave here a bit different. You'll leave here having picked up something, maybe having put down something. You'll leave here having done some work on yourself, maybe on your relationships, your world, but you'll leave here in a different place than when you showed up. Because that's our hope. That's our goal, is that you'll leave here, even if it's just the tiniest of ways, you'll leave here a bit different, feeling a bit more alive, a bit more full of grace, a bit more you than when you came in. So we are about to get started, and let's start with this. We're going to start with a meditation, and I invite you just to take this in, to let this be how you can finish arriving, to let this remind you that you are not alone, but Christ is with us, that presence of God, that peace, that justice, that grace, that love of God is in us and around us, holding us together and guiding us forward. So we're going to begin with a meditation that reminds us of that. So I invite you just to watch, to breathe along, to take it all in, and then we'll begin with a song. And so my friends, as we head into all of this, knowing that we are in this together, knowing that God is with us and this is a place of love, may peace be with you.
Christ be with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ within me, Christ below me, Christ above me, Christ be with me. At my right hand, at my left hand, as I lie down, as I rise up, as I stumble. Christ in the mouth of everyone who speaks of me. Christ in every eye that sees me. Christ in every ear that hears me. Amen. Amen.
God the all-holy, Maker and Mother, gladly we gather, bringing in prayer all hearts for healing, new hopes for holding, giving, receiving, loving and care. Spirit on sing, healing and blending, joy and desiring, friendship and ease. Make our belonging loyal and lasting, so that our pledging freshens and frees. Christ will completing, nature enfolding, evil exhausting in love's embrace. Weaving and mending, make every ending God's new beginning, glowing with grace.
So I don't know about you, but there are things in my life that I need to hear again and again and again and again and again and again and again. I could keep going again, going and going and going. And I'm not talking about like those just bad habits that we have, like Nick put the toilet paper roll back on the thing. That's just something else entirely. I'm talking about those things that we know but don't really know. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Those things that we know, but don't really know. Those things that we know, but don't really know. Those things that intellectually we get. We're like, yes, of course I believe that. Yes, I assent to that. I affirm that. Yes, I'm down with that. But when it comes to the heart, when it comes to integrating it, when it comes to embodying it, when it comes to living it out, that's a whole other story entirely. Are you with me? Anyone know what I'm talking about? Those things we know but don't really know? Yeah, we've all got those things, don't we? And there is one that I think is universal. There's probably many that are universal, but there's one especially for us in the West, especially for those of us who live in our culture, our consumer, capitalist, celebrity culture. There's one that I think we all struggle with. And for our grace and renewal this morning, we're going to hear a meditation that reminds us all of the thing that we really need to know. This thing that we have to hear in here. And so we're going to have Vi read it for us because she does such an amazing job with it. It was written by our friend Hilary McBride. We've heard her work before. We may actually have even heard this meditation before. It's one of those meditations that we'll do again and again and again because it's just so good and something that we actually really, really, really need to hear. So this meditation, my friends, this grace and renewal time, my friends, it's for all of you. It's for all of you who think you're not good enough. It's for all of you who think you aren't lovable. It's for all of you who think you aren't enough, who have to try to earn your worth and your value. This is for all of you. And as you hear this, may you know that this is true, that this is gospel, that these words come out from the very heart, the core of our faith. And may you not just know them, but may you know them. May you embody them. May you integrate them. And may these truths come to shape you. And if at any point during this meditation that little voice goes off in the back of your head starting to question all this, you just tell it to go away. And you let these words sink in because, my friends, this is gospel truth. This is heart stuff. This is core. These are the things that can shape everything and change everything. And so may you just sit back. May you receive this meditation, this blessing, and may these words change everything as they go to work. So as we head into this, as always, may grace be with you.
You are good. You have always been good, right from the beginning. I'm sorry that anyone told you otherwise. This breath, this head, these hands, this love, those feet, that smile, your ears, this heart, this breath, good, all good, so good. You are loved. You are so loved. You are lovable. You have been working so hard. I don't have to know it's true. You are precious. You are not a mistake. You are so on purpose. You are not broken. You never were. I'm sorry that you might have that thought. I'm sorry anyone might have made you think that. You are enough. You are so enough. You do not have to earn your enoughness. You do not have to grovel for value, for love, for goodness. You have it already. You already are it. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved.
A reading from Luke. Later on that Easter day, 2 disciples were traveling to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking to each other about everything that had happened. While they were discussing these things, Jesus himself arrived and joined them on their journey. They were prevented from recognizing him. Jesus said to them, "What are you talking about as you walk along?" They stopped, their faces downcast. The one named Cleopas, he replied, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who is unaware of the things that have taken place there over the past few days?" He said to them, "What things?" They replied, "The things about Jesus of Nazareth. Because of his powerful deeds and words, he was recognized by God and all the people as a prophet. But our chief priests and our leaders handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. We had hoped he was the one who would redeem Israel. All of these things happened 3 days ago. But there's more. Some women from our group have left us stunned. They went to the tomb early this morning and didn't find his body. They came to us saying that they had even seen a vision of angels who told them that he is alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found things just as the woman had said, but they didn't see him. Then Jesus replied, "You foolish people. Your dull minds keep you from believing all that the prophets talked about. Wasn't it necessary for the Christ to suffer these things and then enter into his glory?" Then he interpreted for them the things written about himself in all the scriptures, starting with Moses and going through all the prophets. When they came to Emmaus, he acted as if he was going on ahead. But they urged him, saying, "Stay with us. It's nearly evening and the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. After he took his seat at the table with them, he took the bread, blessed it, and broke it, and gave it to them. Their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, but he disappeared from their sight. They said to each other, "Weren't our hearts on fire when he spoke to us along that road, and when he explained the scriptures for us?" They got up right then and returned to Jerusalem. They found the 11 and their companions gathered together. They were saying to each other, "The Lord really has risen. He appeared to Simon." Then the 2 disciples described what had happened along the road and how Jesus was made known to them as he broke the bread. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. So there is this Instagram account I follow. And if you don't know what Instagram account is, if you don't know what Instagram is, don't worry about it. It's just an app where you share photos with your friends. And anyways, this account I follow, it is one of my favorites. And it belongs to Rick Rubin. And if you don't know who he is a legendary music producer. He's got his hands on some of the most influential and important music of the past 20 to 30 years. He's been named Time Magazine's most influential person. He's a really big freaking deal. And on his Instagram account, he only ever posts one photo. There's only ever one photo there, which is weird for an Instagram account. And just keeps changing the one photo. And what the photo always is of is some wisdom. A little quote. A little couple lines about art and creativity and life. And I love it. I love it so much. I eat that stuff up because I think art, life, and creativity are just so inherently spiritual. I think these things are just so fundamentally important to what it means to be human and alive in this world. I think that's what Jesus is all about. I think that's what we're all about. So of course I'm going to like Rick Rubin's account. And a couple of weeks ago, he posted a line that, oh man, it stuck with me. It was so powerful. And what he said was this. He said, "Any creative path is difficult. Any creative path is difficult." And now I know that's not particularly mind-blowing. I know that's not like a stop the press kind of soundbite. It's not something that we'll get lost in. But I just love it so much. It resonated with me, especially as a guy whose job it is to create stuff every single week. And later on, after he posted it, some friends and I were on a group chat that we have, and we were talking about his post. We were talking about that line. And we were talking about how it's something we don't talk enough about. How we should have more conversations in our world about how creativity is hard. How that path is difficult. How there's so much vulnerability and risk tied up into it, how creating things day in and day out is hard. That whatever it is that we are creating, and we all create stuff. Even you who thinks you're not creative, yeah, you create stuff. We create life. We create ourselves. We're inherently creative creatures. That is a difficult task. It's hard to create. It's hard to live. It's hard to generate and make stuff. And that's something we should name more of. And so we're having that conversation, and that eventually led to a whole other conversation where we're sharing what it is that we are creating. And so some friends shared their things, and another friend shared their thing, and then one friend, they shared this sermon that they're working on. And they didn't give us the actual sermon. They just gave us the heart, the engine, the thought behind it. And after hearing what it is that he was preaching about, every single one of us in that group chat, even the non-churchy people, were like, yes, we need that sermon. That sermon is something that we need to have. And later on the next day, I was still thinking about that sermon. It was still resonating with me. And I began to think that this is actually something that we all need to hear. I think everybody needs to hear that sermon. And so today, my friends, and yes, that whole Rick Rubin setup was just a plot device to get you to hear the beginning of the sermon. And today, my friends, we talk about the sermon I think my friend wrote, because I didn't actually hear the sermon. This is what I think he would have said. So we had the sermon I think my friend wrote, and what to do when everything becomes undone. So my friends, let's begin with the story we just heard. And the story is from the Bible. It is written by a guy named Luke. You can go read it again if you want to. Just rewind the video. And it is from a part of the Bible towards the end of Luke, the very end of Luke. This does not matter at all. But the story for me, it's one of those stories that is just so profound. I find it so incredibly rich, deep, and powerful. I find so much goodness in it. I think it's got a lot to say to us today about what it means to be human and alive in this world. And as I was reading it this week, trying to make some room for it to do its thing and speak to me where I'm at today, because that's what we do with these stories, the thing that kept coming at me, the thing I kept getting drawn to, the place where that story became my story, the place that seemed to hum with reverence, the thing that seemed to have some wisdom for me today, it was this thing not at the end of the story, not at the climax where Jesus appears in the breaking of the bread and the guys are like, oh my God, it's you, and they run back and suddenly everything's different. I actually didn't really care about that part of the story. That part wasn't even important to me. I don't even know if I got there, to be honest. The part that was humming for me, the part that I kept getting drawn to, the part where the Spirit seemed to be saying, this is where you need to go, was right at the beginning. It was the two disciples walking down that road, walking, thinking, processing, trying to figure out just what the heck had happened. Because something had happened, right? Like a big thing went down. Their universe had just completely shifted. Because Jesus was just executed. He was just killed on the cross. And that wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't something they thought was possible. That was not part of the plot. And him being killed on that cross, it completely and totally undid everything. It undid their sense of hope. It undid their plans for the future, so they had no idea where they were going anymore or what they were a part of. It undid all their beliefs and values. It undid how they thought the world was supposed to work. It undid the community they belonged to. It undid what gave the universe meaning, what gave it a gravity. It undid what grounded them. All of that. Everything was completely undone. Over the course of 4 days, their universe had completely and totally shifted. They didn't know where they belonged anymore. They didn't know what anything meant anymore. They didn't know what was good and true, therefore what they could trust and hope for. And to make even things more complicated, to add some extra confusion to it, the women in their group had said they had seen Jesus alive. And that was something that definitely wasn't supposed to happen. And even if they did think it was true, even if they chose to believe it, it didn't make everything go back together again. It actually would undo things even more and leave them even more confused. And so experiencing all of that, in the middle and muck of all of that, we get these two guys, these two people heading to a place called Emmaus, walking, thinking, processing, trying to figure it all out. And that part of the story right there at the beginning, that is what I kept getting drawn back to. I couldn't escape it. I couldn't read beyond that. And I think it's because that story is my story. That's where I'm at in my own life. My universe has completely shifted because of the pandemic, because of the civil rights movement, because of the riot on the Capitol, because of all these anti-mask and vaccine rallies, because of the politics of all of that, because of everything that flows out of those things. So much in my life and my world has been completely and totally undone. Anyone with me on that? Anyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Because it's not just my job and community and routine that's changed. It's everything. My beliefs and my values have changed. What I hold to be good and true has changed. What I knew and my expectations and my habits have all changed. I used to think that humanity was innately good. I used to think that when push came to shove, we would band together. But now that seems more laughable than holy. I used to know how to do church. I used to be able to envision what church would look like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But now as I look even tomorrow, I don't know what to think. I don't know where it's all going to go. I don't really know what post-pandemic church will look like because I don't know what the world will look like because everything has shifted. And as vaccines roll out and a new normal begins to appear, I don't even know if I can trust it. Because I don't know if I can trust the people who are handing out the vaccines. I don't know if I can trust the politics of it all. I don't know if I can trust everybody else to get it. And so I don't have much hope. And I don't really know what to think. I don't really know what to do. There's just so much suspicion, so much resignation, so much cynicism that I, just like those guys in the story, I find myself just walking, thinking, processing, trying to figure it all out. Are you with me on that? Anyone else know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Maybe you're with me right now. Or maybe you know this feeling of having everything undone, but maybe for you it was a long time ago. Because we're talking about those moments when we just don't know anymore. That's what we talk about when we talk about undoing. Those moments when things just don't line up, when they don't make any sense, when all meaning is lost, when trust is broken, when hope is despair, when gravity seems to have disappeared and everything that was once grounded and fixed and certain and true, when all that is lost and we just find ourselves looking at it all being like, oh, what's going on? Where am I? What is true? What is real? What is meaningful? How do I live in all of this? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Whether it's with our faith, our relationships, our sense of self, our purposes, our profession, parenting, our worldviews. I think we all know what it's like to have everything completely and totally undone. Are you with me? Yeah. I think that's what's going on in this story. I think that's the universal truth we find here in this story. Because the truth is, as much as we don't like to say it and hard as it is to admit it, the truth is that things do fall apart. The truth is that suffering and death do happen. That sometimes we just won't know anymore. That our universe will shift, that things do change, that gravity, it does stop. Yeah, it's so hard, right? We don't like that truth. We don't like it because there's so much pain and so much trauma attached to it. So much loss happens in those moments. And so when it does come crashing down, if you're like me, the thing you do is you try to fix it all. You get out the duct tape, you get out the needle and thread, and you try to patch it all back together. You try to stick it and glue it to the earth and say, nope, you're not changing. Nope, I'm not going to change. I'm going to stay right here. I need to know. I need to be comfortable. It's all going to stay the same. Yeah, anyone ever do that? Yeah. Yeah, I think we all do. That's a really natural reaction when things become undone. And while trying to fix things isn't bad, well, it can be good to try to put things back together and find healing in the moment before it's too late. There are moments, though. When things just can't be put back together. There are moments when things can't be done back up, when there's no normal to go back to. There are moments when things will just never be the same, when things will never make sense the way they used to. Right? Right? Yeah, we all know this. We all know that. And it's for moments like that, it's for times like that I think this story can offer us some wisdom. I think there's something in this story that we can use, that we can hold on to when there are no answers. When we just don't know, when everything is floating away and we find ourselves lost, wondering what to do. And I think the wisdom this story offers us is in times like that, in times of great undoing, the thing we have to do, the only thing we have to do is walk. We walk. We walk. Which is to say, we venture on. We persevere. We still show up. We keep on walking regardless of not knowing where we're going and how it'll all turn up. Yeah, I think that's the wisdom here. I think that's the thing in this story for us today. That during those moments and seasons in our life when everything becomes undone, the only thing to do is keep on walking. Because the truth is, as we said, the truth is that things die, things change. Sometimes we don't have the answer, sometimes we never will. And more often than not, we never really do have the answers. That's just an illusion. And the only way we'll get to somewhere new is to get there. The only way we'll ever get to somewhere new is to actually get there, is to keep on walking. And I think this is something that we all know. I think this is something that we all experience maybe more than we know. For those of us who've experienced a great undoing and come out on the other side, when you stop and look back on it, how did you get from there to here? You walked. You walked. You ventured on. You persevered. You kept on showing up. You didn't wait to figure it all out. You didn't wait to have all the answers. You didn't wait till things went back to normal. But you did that courageous and hard work of keep on moving, of keep on walking, hoping, trusting that one day, maybe sooner than later, we will get there. Because that's the other thing, right? That's the other thing, especially if we're being super duper honest here. And I think this is a place where we can be super duper honest. Because the truth is, I don't think we can actually promise that we will actually get somewhere new. I don't know if I can promise you that if you do walk, you will find what it is you're looking for. I don't know if we can promise that you will, without a doubt, 100% actually land somewhere. Because sometimes we will get there. Sometimes we will arrive somewhere new and land somewhere. But sometimes we don't. Sometimes the walking is a lifelong journey. Sometimes we don't actually end up where we want to go. We see this in another story in the Bible with Moses. Moses leads the people out of Egypt towards the promised land, and he never actually gets there. He dies before they step foot into the promised land, before they cross that river. And I think that's a really hard truth, that sometimes we can't promise that we'll get there. And maybe that's an all the time kind of thing. We just can't promise it. Sometimes the walking is a lifelong journey. We can't promise that you will arrive. But we can promise something else. And this is another thing this story offers, this really beautiful, powerful, everything-changing truth that this story offers us. Well, we can't promise that we will get there. Well, we can't promise that your walking will get you into a new understanding, a new way to hold the world, a new hope, a new trust. We can't promise that, but we can promise that if you do step out, if you do choose to do that courageous work of walking on anyways, you won't walk alone, because God's going to walk along beside you. God will meet you where you're at, and God will fall in a step beside you, and God will keep you company on that road. I mean, how beautiful is that? Isn't that amazing? That God will meet you where you're at, and God will walk along beside you. That God isn't up there waiting for you to get there. That God isn't back there being like, wait, come back. But God is with you in the journey. We have a God who walks along with. And sometimes, maybe all the time, that's enough. That's a thing we need to keep on walking. That's a thing we need to persevere. That's the courage we need to have, because God is with us. We know we're not alone, and we can put one foot ahead of the other. Maybe one day, hopefully sooner than later, we'll get there. Yeah, so beautiful, so good. And so for those of us who are experiencing a great undoing, for those of us who have felt the universe shift, for those of us who just can't put our hope and trust in anything, for those of us who are trusting the goodness of the world, for those of us who just have nothing left to hold on to, may you hear what this story has to say. May you hear the wisdom of this story. To stop looking for answers, to not wait until you figured it all out, to not pull off to the side of the road and put up camp there, but to do that courageous, amazing, and important work of keep on walking anyways, because you'll never get there unless you try to get there. You gotta walk. You gotta keep on moving, knowing and trusting that you're not walking alone, but God is with us. And so may you keep on walking. May you keep on struggling forward, knowing that God is with you. And to that, we say, Amen. God who walks with. We take some time now to pray, to open up, to soften up, to feel your movements, and to hear your voice. God, we are people who are experiencing so many things becoming undone. And we ask that you hear our prayers of pain, loss, and lament. We lament yet another death of a young black man just because he is a young black man. We lament people pretending to be churches, pretending to be underground churches. We lament the things that cause people to put their own lives ahead of others to the detriment of others. We pray for those who are alone, stuck inside, disconnected, and lonely. We pray for hope and trust when so much of that has been broken, abused, and taken away. God who walks with us, may you hear our prayers of pain, loss, and lament. In spirit, despite all that, Despite all that weighs us down, breaks us apart, and hurts us, despite all of that, this world is still good, and there's still so much beauty and love within it. We take some time now to share our prayers of joy, celebration, and gratitude. We say thank you for the people who look after us and who keep our world moving. We say thank you for justice when justice finally does happen. We give thanks for vaccines and for the people who stick them in our arms. We give thanks for those gifts of time, presence, generosity, kindness, and compassion that we have received. We give thanks for those fleeting moments of peace, hope, and joy. For all the things that bring us joy, that we have to celebrate, and that we are thankful for, we take some time now to offer our prayers. So God, we know that while we ask you to move and answer these prayers, we know that you look at us to do exactly the same thing. You look at us to be your hands and feet, your voice, your presence, your heart, your breath, the very presence of Christ in the world. Help us to have the courage to move with you, to move as you, to be people of life, light, and love, to be people of resurrection and forgiveness. People who do what it takes to create love, justice, and peace in the world. Help us to be those people. Help us to do that with all that we are. Show us just how beautiful that can be, how rich in existence that can be. And it's with that in mind, that calling, that identity, and that purpose in mind, that we think of the prayer that Jesus taught us to pray, and we sing it together.
Our Mother who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever.
All right, my friends, that is almost everything for this week. Before we let you go, a few things to tell you. First and foremost, thanks for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being a part of this. It really means the world to us that you do these services with us. So thank you for being here. Our hope and our prayer, as always, is that you leave here a bit different. That you pick something up, that you put something down, that you are in a different place than when you showed up. So thank you for being here for that. We want to make sure that you do remember all those things that we told you at the beginning. Those things that you watched, you're like, oh man, I want to be a part of that. That sounds so interesting. Excuse me. Go check those out again. You can actually rewind these videos. I know, it's amazing. Go, man, I don't want to redo this video, so just hold up. Go check out all the links below. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something that you're interested in. We are not just a Sunday morning church, but we are a church that has so many things going on that you are invited to be a part of. So go click on all the links. Find something that you want to get in on. Later on today, there's stuff you can get in on. Right after this, there is our Zoom call. It's a way for us to be in community. You are welcome to be in on that. And then later on today, between 12 and 1, my friends, we've got some communion happening. We've got drive-through communion. So get in your car, put on your masks, bring something to eat and something to drink, and meet me, Vi, Ann, and Wilma at the church. And we are there to share the sacrament with you, to break some bread together and to connect, to be blessed and be transformed through that meal that Jesus gave us. We want all of you to be in on that. We're there between 12 and 1 this Sunday. And if all that sounds amazing, if you're like, this is really good stuff, this is the stuff that truly matters right now in our world, we'd like to ask you to donate to our church. Click on the link below. There's a link that will take you to our donations page. You can do that through buying some gift cards. You can do that through donating some money. Any of it counts. It all matters and helps us be a church that is all about offering people meaning, hope, and connection in a world that so desperately needs it. So please donate to our church. Support this work. But most importantly, again, thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the church together. And our prayer, as always, as we said, is that you leave here a bit different. And so as you head out into whatever is next, a blessing for you, my friends. So put your feet on the ground, get ready to receive a good word, and let this word go with you. And so, my friends, no matter who you are, no matter what the voices have told you, no matter what the narrative is that you've been given, may you know that you are good. May you know that you are good, that you are enough, and you are loved. Hold on to that. Let that truth go to work. Let that give you some confidence and know that you are enough, that you are loved, and you are good. And when your world falls apart, when everything becomes undone, may you keep on walking. May you keep on walking, and may you know that you are not alone. So, my friends, may you go in peace. May you go in love. May you go and do it loudly. We love you. We miss you. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Still I rise, yes, still I rise. Just like a bud rose, my bloom is nourished by rain. Still I rise, yes, still I rise. Haven't time to wonder why, though fearful I strive. Still I rise, yes, still I rise. My prayer of faith uphold me till my courage arise. Still I rise, yes, still I rise. Still I rise as an eagle. Still I'm strong above every fear. Still with each day I succeed and grow strong and believe that it's all within my reach. I'm reaching for the skies, bolstered by courage, and still I rise. Yes, it's all within my reach. I'm reaching for the skies. Yes, still I rise. Still I rise. Gentle as a woman, tender, sweet of my sighs. Still I rise, yes, still I rise. Strength is in my tears and healing reigns in my cries. Still I rise, yes, still I rise. Plunging depths of anguish, I determined to strive. Still I rise, yes, still I rise. So prayer and faith uphold me till my courage arrives. Still I rise, yes, still I rise. Though you see me slump with heartache, heart so heavy that it breaks, be not deceived to fly on bird's wings, rising sun, its healing rays. Look at me, you see a woman, gentle as a butterfly. But don't you think not for one moment that I'm not strong because I cry, yes, still I rise. strong and believe.